Hello, my Facebook friends. It's Trisha coming to you from beautiful southern Vermont, even though it's raining and 40 degrees. It's still beautiful. And I'm coming to you tonight to give you some tips on success. Now, I'm bringing a friend of mine on. I'm super excited to introduce you to my friend Michael Rutherford. And I'll give you a little background on Michael. I'll just tell you, he is my most successful friend, but he's also my most unselfish friend. And I'm waiting for him to come on, so I'm really excited. So let me just tell you a little bit about some of the things I've learned about success. So there are 3 indicators of success, and 2 we really can't control, but 1 we can. And I think you'll see when we're talking to Michael which one that he exemplifies. So the first indication of success is IQ, which we really don't have a lot of control over. The second is conscientiousness, which means you're timely, you're organized, you're very conscientious. You work hard, you do all this stuff. But, so what if you're like me and you can't keep track of time and you keep people's stuff all over the place with sticky notes? There is another thing that all of us can cultivate, which I think you'll find Michael has, which is openness. So you can overcome, I'm not saying he has a low IQ, but you can overcome an average IQ and lack of conscientiousness by simply cultivating the trait of openness. And you can be successful and you can overcome anything, any boundaries that are in your way. So I thought that was really interesting. What I found has helped me a lot in evolving my life is having mentors and learning from people, because I don't know anything. So I am looking to other people who are successful and trying to glean from them let's see who's watching. Olivia, hi. I'm trying to glean from them, you know, how they got successful. So I'll give you a little background. I joined a company called Prove It. And what happened was I sort of inherited 4 brothers, I like to think about it. So I have the brother who's always encouraging everyone to be present and to meditate, which is Mitch. I have the brother who's super scientist and really organized, and that's Dustin. And then I have the brother who's really blunt and tells you to stop eating too many calories and you lose weight, and that's Rob. And then I have the brother, Michael, that I pull out when I feel like I am caring too much about what people think of me. So if I see a group of people and I want to walk into a group of people and I want to tell them what's on my mind, I'll pull out my Michael brother, right? I'll put on my virtual Gucci jacket and I'll just walk up to this group of people and I will just tell them what's on my mind and what I think. I will lose my identity, my sense of self that's keeping me from sharing something, and I will just be totally me in the moment. So I know that he's trying to come on. So let me see. I have to find him. Sorry if you're looking at like a close-up of my face right now. I know he's coming. So I know it's like this huge long pause while we're waiting for the star to come on. I don't know, what is Johnny Carson? How long has it been since people have watched Johnny Carson? I'm really dating myself. I'm trying to think of like what the talk show hosts do before the superstar comes on. So I just think back about all the things that I've learned and all of the people that I've attached myself to, that I've gotten information from, even my dog trainer. So my dog trainer really was my first mentor. And Johnny Carson, because I would watch dogs and I had no idea what was going on with them. And I really wanted to understand them. So what I did was I found the nation's leader in dog rehabilitation, and I drove to his house and knocked on his door and asked him, so you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my computer. Sorry, I know you're looking at my kitchen. Isn't it pretty? And I'm going to see what's going on here. So I'm just getting him on. So yes, Johnny Carson would have the band play right now, and I don't have the band. So I can sum up what I've talked about up until this point. I've talked about the 3 indicators of success: IQ, conscientiousness. But if you don't have either of those, you can have openness. Openness. That means letting go of the stories you tell yourself, and letting go of your false beliefs and your own limitations, and letting go of all the stuff that's in your way, and just being open. Just saying, I am open to seeing this in a different way. I am open to learning. I am open to understanding. I am open to a new experience. So that's what that means. I'm working on it, guys. It's hard to get these busy people, you know? So I really appreciate you all being very patient. Does anyone have a question for me? Let's talk about my kitchen. The colors in my kitchen, I borrowed them from Monet, right? So it's kind of like the same principle that I've been talking to you about. Like, I was going to paint my house, but I had no idea what colors to paint it. So I decided, okay, who's my favorite painter? And that's Monet. So I got a book, and I found out all the colors that he painted his house, and I just copied him. Because why should I reinvent the wheel? I should just copy people who know better than me. So I'm still waiting. How else can I fill the time? I'm very sorry this is taking so long. It's actually not that long. It's just 6 minutes. It just feels long. So what else can I tell you? I'm stumbling here. Hi, Peggy. So everybody's watching me just sit here feeling uncomfortable. Here's another thing. Are you willing to feel uncomfortable? I am willing to feel incredibly awkward. Right now I feel incredibly awkward. I can tell you another story. You have a question? Tell me, what's your question? Sharon Johnson, what is your question? She's raising her hand. Is the suspense killing everyone? So I can tell you a little bit about my feeling awkward. And what's the best app for intermittent fasting? Okay, now we're going to get into fitness and nutrition. The best app for intermittent fasting is definitely an app called Zero. So it's super simple. In the morning, you just push the little stop fasting button when you drink your coffee, if you're being super scientific about it. And then when you're done eating at night, like now, or a couple hours before, you push the app and it says start fasting. And for me, what that helps me with is that once I push that button, I won't do unconscious eating. So it's called Zero, and you can get it in the Apple Store, and I love it. I use it all the time. Super helpful, because once I push that button, I'm not going to eat again, because as I said in the beginning of this video, I am not very conscientious, meaning I'm not firmly grounded and I need help. Does bulletproof coffee break a fast? It depends on who you ask. I think technically, yes, it does. Anytime anything hits your body that's not water, your fast is broken. So you decide how strict you want to be with that. But I was told that coffee does indeed break your fast. Okay, great. Oh, yay, here he comes, guys. It's worth the wait, totally. He's coming, I know it. Hey, Michael.
What's happening?
Hey, how are you? Thanks for jumping on.
I'm very well. Happy to be here. How are you? What's happening?
Oh, I've been talking to all my Facebook friends I've been telling them a little bit about you, and I just wanted to offer them some tips, because you often say that you went from fat and broke to no longer fat and broke, and you didn't know anything. You weren't a fitness professional. You weren't a know-it-all. You didn't know anything.
True.
So I was wondering if you could talk about, maybe tell a little bit about that, and maybe how not knowing anything helped you.
It did. I didn't have any bad habits, I guess you could say, or from a business perspective, um, I didn't have a lot I needed to overcome from my own baggage. So think of a golfer or a baseball player trying to learn how to play golf. As a golf instructor, they say baseball players are a lot of times really hard to coach as golfers because golfers have a particular swing that's different than a baseball player's swing, or a tennis player learning how to play golf, or a pitcher learning how to play tennis. So a lot of times we create habits in our careers that sometimes can be transferable skills. Sometimes they can be hindrances because we have sort of tendencies and things that we've learned that may or may not translate over into whatever that new business venture is that somebody's doing. So for me, I didn't know what ketones were. I have them on my shirt now. I didn't know what ketones were, let alone Keto Max and what this whole keto conversation was about. So I just didn't have anything clouding my judgment. I just had a clean slate, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's great. I was talking a little bit about how openness can help people succeed, even if they don't have a huge amount of conscientiousness or organization or type A qualities, which I don't have at all.
For sure. For sure. Well, I think a lot of times people get in their own way because they have a little bit of that. It's the fitness trainer who knows a little bit about, or maybe a lot about a topic or two, but, they haven't sharpened their skills in the last 5 years or 10 years. So it's the dietitian who hasn't been to med school for literally 22 years who thinks everything's still the same. Well, it just isn't. So it's really, really cool when people are open-minded to learning new things. I think we're always learning new things, and people that think they've got it all figured out are just as good as dead. So,
right. Yeah. And I've
so,
noticed something about you. I noticed a few things about you, but you are always crediting other people for what you know.
well, I don't know. I mean, don't you, unless you invented E equals MC squared, don't you have to credit who taught it to you? So,
but a lot of people don't do that. And I do notice that you mention the people who've taught you things often. And I think that's a really admirable quality.
Thank you. It's, a friend of mine told me a long time ago, he's like, well, imitation is the highest form of flattery, right? So, right. The thing that's really cool is if somebody's already figured something out, why go recreate it? Like, so much of our world is, I don't know if it's ego or what it is, or people just wanting to have their own fingerprints on things. But if somebody's already got something figured out, like if they've already gotten directions map quested and printed and ready to go, why try to create your own path to a particular place that is already completed? Like, you just follow the steps. Now, I'm not necessarily a person that believes in following the masses and doing everything that they do. That's not what I mean. But when it comes to, let's say, joining a new business, for instance, or if I wanted to be muscular and in shape, I just find a muscular and in shape guy and say, hey, homeboy, what'd you do? Give me your protocol and let me follow it. Instead, right. A lot of times people want to just kind of create their own way. And depending on what it is that they're doing, if it's art, then yeah, sure, create your own. If it's music, create your own. But if it has to do with, building a burger business, why in the hell would you try to start your own? There's a reason McDonald's cost $1 million and Joey's Burgers down the street, he couldn't give it away. And, one of the things that I found to be true is when somebody has a business that works and they've got a system around it that somebody can come in and follow that system, they can shortcut or hack how long it takes to create whatever it is you're trying to create. So, I've just listened to a lot of people and just did what they did. I had a friend that was over my house the other day, Ruben, who is listening. Hey, Ruben, what's up, buddy? He said, when in doubt, overload. That's a quote I got from him, actually. It has to do with war. It has to do with shooting people and being in battle. But when in doubt, overload. But a guy that he and I both know, visited with him the other day, and he, was congratulating me on whatever, on the growth of our business and things like that. And I said, Ken, I just did what you taught me how to do about 10 years ago. And he started laughing, and he goes, a lot of people forget what works. And we try to reinvent the wheel, and we try to recreate all these, new things around old concepts. It's just about fine tuning the stuff that already works. Does that make sense? Like the ketogenic conversation is not a new conversation. No. It isn't. Jesus and his buddies were in ketosis, so right. That's not new. Drinking ketones is certainly pretty new, but the conversation of ketones as a fuel source is not new. So I think a lot of times people get stuck in their own, I don't know what, in their own brain's belief that it must be hard for it to be good, and it must be complicated for it to be valuable, and it just doesn't have to be. You know what I'm saying?
I do. I really appreciate how you are really able to simplify it. Like the other day, you said it's not a diet; it's a drink.
Right.
It's just simple. Like it's not all complicated. So it's really interesting to me when you talk about being fat and broke and not. What was you, where were you at? Can you tell people a little bit about that and how that changed? How that change happened? What precipitated the change? Were you looking for change? Were you wanting change?
I got to show you what I'm using to prop up my phone really quickly. First of all, this is a really high caliber business environment right here.
That's super sophisticated.
Oh yeah. Now watch. See, you'd never know. It's too sunny outside. It's too bright. No, it was. It's interesting. The CEO of Prove It become a great friend of mine. I've known him for nearly 10 years. So when his name's Brian Underwood. When he texted me, sort of out of the blue. I mean, we were pals, so it wasn't entirely out of the blue. But I didn't know anything about ketones or ketosis. And Brian texted me, "Hey, bro, what do you know about ketones or ketosis?" And I responded, "Nothing." And he goes, "Well, that's a good start." And in a way, it really was, because I didn't have any frame of reference. I didn't have any eggs. I didn't have any scrambled eggs I needed to try to put back in the shell. I didn't have any beliefs that were accurate or inaccurate. I didn't have any baggage, so to speak. I didn't know. So he goes, "Well, I might have my hands on something pretty cool." And he didn't yet. Some patents, some research and stuff. And he goes, "I might have my hands on something pretty cool. Get familiar with keto and let's stay in touch. If this works, if this happens, I think you're going to freak out." And I said, "Okay, cool." So I did a Google search for ketones, ketosis. I read an article about LeBron James in Sports Illustrated. I read an article about Phil Mickelson. I read an article about Novak Djokovic, the tennis player. And there were all these wicked, talented athletes doing the ketogenic diet, high fat, low carb. And I'm like, bro, what is this? This sounds like the worst diet ever. And I said, I'm not interested. Like, don't eat carbs, don't eat sugar. And a week or a month later, you'll be in ketosis. I'm like, screw that, bro. So he goes, "What if I told you it was a drink that we can on it? There'd be a drink, we could have some patents on it, and you could drink ketones and be in a state of ketosis in a matter of minutes." And I said, "Okay, I'm back in. How does that work?" So I spent some more time researching it. I got connected to some content on the internet by Dr. Dominic D'Agostino and Mary Newport and Jeff Volek and all these researchers and PhDs and doctors and stuff, and it was freaking unbelievable. He sent me samples. I drank a sample. It came in the form of white powder in a Ziploc baggie, which was kind of squirrely, but it was awesome. And I started drinking it. I started feeling amazing immediately. It wasn't one of those took forever kind of things. It was in a matter of 30 minutes. I knew it was going to completely shift my life. So there was another half a dozen or so friends of mine in the room, and all of them were looking at me, and I was looking at them. We were looking at each other like, "Oh my God, this is it." So if you've drank Keto Max before, you know that to be true. And like I just saw a couple friends of mine just pop on the Facebook Live that they're down 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds. Their life has been changed. So they know what I'm talking about. But the beauty that I didn't know, Tricia, is that it had nothing to do with weight loss. It had to do with all these other benefits that ketones put in your body, that they're fantastic for your brain. And the thing that's really fun for me is that giving people that opportunity to feel better and to clear kind of the fog that's in their brain, giving them the ability to feel better, also put me in a position to be able to build a business. So we've been able to watch a lot of people. Just feel better drinking the product and completely shift what they do for a living. It's turned into. So I got two friends. Wesley is down 60 pounds. Nick is down 60 pounds. And I know Justin Roberts is watching. I don't know what he's down. But it actually had nothing to do with weight loss. It had to do with helping people feel better, move better, sleep better, and be better, and then have a better income stream, have a better source of revenue. Because if you can help people feel better, then what other form of compensation is there? Yeah, you need money. Like, we do pay money, and we do pay in the form of free ketones. We give people free Keto Max that refer other people. But when it comes down to it, like, money is the cheapest compensation there is. Does that make sense? Like, Most people measure what they earn in money. It's the least important compensation or reward there is. But when you don't have any, it's the most important, right? When you don't have any money, it's all there is. When you have some, the real sweet rewards have nothing to do with money. They have to do with contribution. They have to do with being able to contribute to other people's lives. And then the feeling that you get seeing them excel and seeing them succeed and seeing them feel better. So, you know, I've loved our business because all of those things exist. So the being able to contribute to other people's lives and the fulfillment that you get trumps, no joke, trumps any of the revenue or personal income that you can earn doing whatever you do for a living. So I think that our community has really grown rapidly because people are interested in those things. People are interested in getting their time back, getting their vitality back, feeling better, not feeling old, lethargic, and fat. Because frankly, that's the way America feels.
Somehow.
Yeah, and I think the longer I've been in the business and the longer I've seen people being on ketones, you're seeing these other benefits that are coming in. You know, my son who's on the spectrum, wow, his life has changed. My brother's life has changed. My friend's kids' life have changed. You know, over time, it's just amazing to see people's lives change. So I just have one more question, one more thing that I've noticed about you that I kind of pull out of my hat when I need it, and that is you care more about helping people than you care about what people think of you. Do you know that about yourself?
I very much know that about myself.
Yeah. And I really admire that because, and when I'm afraid to talk to people, because I'm afraid of what they'll think, I think about you. And I'm like, I'm just going to go talk to them because I care more about helping them and than I do about what they think of me. So have you always been like that?
I kind of have. So I would say, yeah, I have. I mean, there's no question people care what people think, right? That's why we brush our teeth. That's why other than the fact that you'd like to have teeth to eat food, but that's why I took a shower before the Zoom. That's why I put on a clean shirt, even though it's just a t-shirt. That's why we live where we live. That's why we wear what we wear. Otherwise I would just have a Honda Civic and, you know, so people care what people think, right? And that's okay. But what ends up happening is people care what people think so much that they won't go help them because they're concerned that the person that they're trying to help thinks something about them, like they have an agenda or like they have a, by the way, I have cupcake scented candles in here. Do you think these will spike my glucose if I light them? And I happen to have shortbread cookies from Australia. I have not busted these out, but I'm going to.
Oh, those are better. Good. You have to have them with tea, though.
Oh, yeah. So the thing that's really cool is, you know, so many people it's almost like a form of selfishness when you really break it down. If you have a solution for somebody that can help them in a certain way, but because we're concerned about what they might think about us, should we present the solution to them? So instead we don't, and we prohibit them from even hearing about the solution to whatever their challenge is, then that's significant selfishness. And I understand it, right? Because people want to be liked, they want to be respected, they want to be you know, valued. Nobody wants to feel embarrassed. Nobody wants to feel ashamed. Nobody wants to feel accused. Nobody wants to feel fill in the blank, right? So what ends up happening when somebody gets into a business like ours, or any business for that matter, they feel like they, you know, are selling people something. Well, I got news for you. If you're in a project or a product that's completely shifted your life, then no one cares whether you're trying to sell it to them or not. Are you trying to sell it to them? Yeah, you are. I am. Bro, I lost 60 pounds. You're fat. Drink it. You're my best friend. I've known you for 20 years. You look terrible. I know you feel terrible because you told me. I'm calling you because I'm selling you. Like, you're my friend. Of course. The word sell is somehow got this negative connotation to it. I love buying stuff, don't you? People love buying stuff when they need whatever it is that they're trying to buy. Nobody likes to be sold stuff they don't need. But if you sleep like crap and you feel like crap and you don't like the way you look and you don't feel very healthy because you know deep down inside you're not, and somebody that you like, know, respect, trust, or at least have a little bit of a relationship with shares something with you that could serve you because it served them, well then what are we complaining about? Like, what's the issue here? So that's my biggest thing. Most people have just sold things that they don't actually need to people that don't actually need them. I mean, somebody sold this bowl, for instance, like big deal. Somebody sold this candle, for instance. It's really inconsequential. Like somebody sold these Ziploc bags and the paleo waffles that were in them for my kids this morning, right? Somebody sold all those things and they're really inconsequential. Somebody sold this house, like big deal. I'm not going to remember this realtor's name 10 years, 20 years from now. But what you will remember is when your life was shifted. What you will remember when somebody saved your life. You'll never forget that. And a lot of times, if people get aligned with a product, a business, a project, a conversation, something that is shifting people's lives just because they drank it or just because they were made aware of that information, then look at yourself almost like a practitioner. Look at yourself almost like an educator, like a teacher, rather than a salesperson. And a lot of times people don't believe in themselves. That means they care about what other people think about them. Like they're looking for other people to validate their own value. Does that make sense? Like they're looking for other people for like confirmation that they are awesome or that they are enough. Dude, you don't need somebody to tell you who you are. Like I know who I am. You know who you are. People that know who they are know where they're going. And it doesn't matter what somebody else thinks about where they're going. I hope that makes sense. And I don't want it to sound, sort of negative in tone. It's just, do you care more about people than you care about what people think about you? Doesn't matter what you're doing. Doesn't matter what you're doing. It could be proven. It could be washing cars. I don't care. It doesn't matter what you do for a living. But you've never met with your OBGYN and then they were nervous about telling you what you needed to do when you went home. Like you've never heard nervousness in your chiropractor when he or she wrote a diagnosis for your son who's 8. Like you never heard wishy-washiness. Now you may have heard compassion in their voice because they cared about delivering challenging news, but you never heard them second guessing what they were telling you because it was the truth.
Right.
So for some reason, a lot of times in our world, we don't want to lead people. We want to cater to people. We don't want to tell them what they need to hear. We want to tell them what they want to hear, but that's not helping anybody get where they want to get. So we become like this candy-butted society these days that never wants to tell somebody what they need to hear and what they ought to hear. We want to tell them what they would like to hear. And America's gotten broker and fatter and sicker every day for the last 50 to 100 years. And there's plenty of capable people that have the knowledge and the capacity and the capability to go out and serve and help a lot of people, but they care too much about what people think. I don't want my friends to think I'm in network marketing. Why do you care what your friend thinks about what you do and how we compensate people to share Keto Max? Like, if it would help your friend feel better, wouldn't you have talked to 30 people today? So, I don't know. I just have a particular mentality that I've watched other people utilize. It's just called authenticity. Find something that you absolutely freaking love to do, and you would do it if it were free. You would do it just because it's fun. And then find a business in there so you can do it and generate a lot of personal income so you can scale and grow a big business built around something that you love to do. Because most people don't love what they do. They do this, but they are this. Oh, I'm a mom. I fight for mom's rights and babies' rights and kids' rights and families. But for a living, I work at the post office. So like at the post office, they're one person. At home, they're a totally other person. Like find something where who you are and what you do are literally the same thing.
Right.
And then you just have real congruency to who you are and what you do. So you never have to be worried about what somebody thinks about you or what you're doing. So, I don't know how to tell you how to find that. But I can tell you once you just don't care what people think about you, man, the weight just falls off your shoulders and you just do you and be you no matter what somebody thinks about you. And that's the authentic you. So I think many people are really bad liars and, and they get caught in their lie. Well, many people are living a life that isn't really their life. They're living somebody else's life, their mom's life, their dad's life, their guidance counselor's life, their boss's life. Their kid, what they think that their kids want them to live like. And until you live you and just completely authentically just go all in on you and double down on you, you're always going to be concerned about what people think about you because you're not really being you. And if you were authentically you, who cares, man? So
I couldn't agree with you.
Ramble City, but hopefully you're picking up what I'm laying down.
No, I absolutely am. And that's really what I was getting at because, that's what I love about this company. I have to say, for real, when I joined the company, I was like, I'm not drinking their Kool-Aid. I don't know what they're all about. And the first event I went to, I wanted them to hand me the Kool-Aid. I really believe that I found a community that authentically wants everyone to be themselves for real. Right. It's not just, bullshit talk. It's for real. Everyone in the community appreciates everyone else for who they are. There's such an incredible amount of freedom to be you really, for real, really be able to be yourself. So I really appreciate that. And I get a lot of that from you. I glean a lot of that from you. And I definitely pull out my mini Michael Rutherford when I care about what people think, and I just get over myself already. So
I watched a movie the other day. The movie was weird, but it was awesome. Like, it was awesome because I got some nuggets out of it. And it was, who's the actor that played in Along Came Polly? And he played in, Secret Life of Walter Mitty. He played in, what's that guy's name?
I can't remember.
Hey, Matty B, what's that actor's name? He's a dude. He was in Tropic Thunder also.
It's not Robert Downey Jr., is it?
No, but he was in that. I got his name on the tip of my tongue. Maybe somebody will type it out in a second. So yeah. I watched a movie with him the other day, and it's Ben Stiller. There you go, Matty B.
Okay.
So I watched this movie with Ben Stiller, and in case anybody has patience for a 2-hour movie where the end of the movie is really the real nugget, thanks Jennifer, thanks Matty. I will. Man, it smells like cupcakes in here. I'll spoil the movie just a little bit, but it won't be that big a deal. So this guy has the comparison game, and he's looking over his shoulder constantly, seeing who's watching, seeing what people think. And the whole movie is about this guy that went to law school. Ben Stiller's character went to law school, and he wanted to go change the world. He wanted to fight for people's rights. He wanted to do all these things. And the next thing you know, he found himself in a nonprofit making no money, basically, in his opinion, a loser, like going nowhere. Because he had these viewpoints of these other 3 or 4 people he went to Tufts University with. One of them became a hedge fund manager. One of them became an investment banker. One of them became, a real big political bigwig, lobbyist guy. Well, they all became wealthy, right? They had jets and planes and cars and girls and all this stuff. So from his vantage point, they used to be real tight friends, and then they just kind of peeled apart over the years. So as the movie rolls on, his life, in his opinion, is falling apart. So his son wants to go to Harvard. He can't afford it. He basically doesn't have any money. And he feels like he spent his entire career not making money when he should have just made money so he could help more people after he made money. And at the end of the movie, it sort of culminates with him learning about the real truths of those 3 other individuals that he viewed as successful. When in reality, one of them was getting ready to go to prison for investment banking fraud and SEC securities fraud. The other one just got cancer and was getting ready to go in for surgery, and his entire health had deteriorated. The other one, so it went down this whole line of these 3 guys that he thought were gods, when in reality, his life was way better than theirs. And in his measuring stick, but he was only measuring how they traveled. Like, he traveled in a small plane with no no perks, and sitting in the middle and all this kind of stuff, and flying coach and staying in a crappy hotel. And he was judging everything about his other buddies based on his viewed lifestyle of theirs, or his how he viewed how their life was. And at the end of the movie, it turns out their lives are a disaster. And when he finally sat down and took inventory of what he really had, he realized he had a lot more than he didn't have. And a lot of times people get stuck in that mode where we start looking across the fence at what other people have, instead of just being thankful for what we have and being stoked about what we have. So we do that in our careers. We do that in all kinds of areas. And if people can just be stoked about where they are and move forward, like aggressively move towards better, they'd be blown away by what they can accomplish. But it was funny that this movie kind of brought it full circle, where what he wanted and who he was were starting to cross paths, so to speak. And it was pretty cool.
That is really interesting. And I think the comparison game does really kill us. And I think what you just said is just feeling grateful. I practice gratefulness, and that helps me go forward. I just try to not think about what's going on around me, not compare myself to other people.
Oh yeah.
There's always smarter. There's always somebody better looking. There's always somebody with more money. There's always somebody who you think has this or that more.
Yeah.
But how does that serve you? What good does that do in helping you make your life better, like you say? So I super appreciate you getting on with me, Michael. This has been so incredibly fun, and I appreciate everything that you do for me. Thank you so much.
For sure. I'm glad to spend a little bit of time with you.
Yeah, it's been really fun. So I'm gonna have to go watch that movie.
What you got to watch it and tell me your takeaway. Have a blast. I'm stoked to spend a little bit of time with you, girl. You guys are rocking it. Tell Darla I said what's up too.
Okay, well, thanks, Michael.
See you in a while. Thanks for having me.
Us. That was really fun. Thank you, guys.